Happy election day. Oh my God, it's happening. I was thinking about not coming on live today because I was very much like, I need to preserve whatever ounce of energy it is that I have left. But I felt very called to share what the energy is right now, because I think it's, above all else, it's my duty as somebody who understands astrology to also tie in what's going on energetically, because I know that we are all feeling a lot right now, aside from what's going on with the election and also, pandemic and everything. There's a lot also, there's another added layer with what's going on astrologically. So I wanted to talk about it, and I luckily had the energy for it. I just came out of a meditation that was very energizing, so I'm good. But it's important that I share that because, wow, I'm also realizing that like my phone and my computer are both on like the lowest possible battery, and that's been happening to me so much lately. I wonder if that resonates with any of you guys. Have you guys found that like things keep dying on you? Because I feel like that's very Mercury retrograde. Extremely Mercury retrograde. But speaking of batteries dying, it's important that I say that I'm feeling energized enough to share myself right now, because it is important that we are all checking in with ourselves in terms of what it is that we have to give, and making sure that we are capable of giving it, and that we want to give it, and that we're willing to give it, because I've been feeling very depleted, and I know that I'm not the only one. So make sure that you are, in whatever active service it is that you give in your life, make sure that you are filling up your cup first. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining if you're with me live. Hi, everyone. And if you're seeing this on YouTube later on, hello. I hope you are well. My name is Jasmine Kylene. I am a spiritual counselor and conscious media journalist. And every Tuesday, I like to check in with Well World TV and sort of give the astrological weather and advise you on how we can work alongside it, how we can help it work for us, and also give out some journaling prompts to work with, and hopefully help you navigate it by just checking in with yourself. Sometimes healing isn't knowing exactly what to do. Sometimes healing is just asking yourself what is going on right now, and like giving that your due diligence. But what is going on astrologically? Today is November 3rd. If you're in America, an incredibly important day. Everyone is a bit on edge to see how tonight plays out, rightfully so. And today also happens to be the day that Mercury stations direct. So this is a cause for celebration in a lot of ways, right? Because Mercury retrograde, this one was a doozy. This one has definitely left us feeling a bit, it's played out in different ways in all of our individual lives, but Mercury has definitely taught us something. It's definitely mirrored some of the shadow aspects or some of the things that deserved our attention in terms of healing this retrograde season. So, and it's also probably put a few obstacles or a few things to overcome on your path. And if it did, honor it. It was all meant to be triggered. I think also Mercury triggered a lot of root healing, a lot of familial traumas, a lot of toxic cycles, a lot of attachments have really been brought to our attention under this Mercury retrograde. And so now that it's stationed direct, it's very much of like, it's a review period, I would say. Retrogrades are always reviewing periods, but like when it's finally back in motion, or rather stationing direct in order to go back into a fluid motion, it's a moment of saying, okay, we just went through a lot. We just learned a lot. We just stripped ourselves bare and allowed ourselves to see us for who we really are, or what it is that we really want, or maybe perhaps the role that we're playing in holding ourselves back. And now it's a matter of like, what are you going to do with this information? And you may even right now be tempted to regress or tempted to go back to old habits, myself included, honestly. So it's just a matter of honoring yourself and honoring which path it is that you're choosing. I think there's a really, really, really strong emphasis right now on choices. There are multiple timelines happening at once for us individually and for us collectively. I think it's why it's been hard for a lot of sort of people who are keen on predicting futures. It's been very hard for people to predict, especially how the outcome of this election would be, because we're constantly shifting timelines. And the way that you shift timelines, obviously I have a video on timeline shifting if you want to look into that, but it's all measured by choices. how you make one choice and how that choice leads to another choice, and how, that domino effect continues, is how that timeline that you're choosing to be on plays out. So I think right now, especially with the veil being so thin, us being in Scorpio season, us still being under the influence of this blue moon that we had on Halloween weekend, there's just a strong emphasis on our personal power and the role that we're playing in our experience of life and the choices that we decide to make while playing out this specific reality. So yeah, just pay attention to that. But also, and what I'm going to go into now with the astrological weather is, yes, our choices are important, and yes, how we are responding to this time right now is very important. But it's also important to note that it is okay to not be okay right now. I heard a beautiful astrologer that I'm obsessed with, Bahati Life, Jessica Alexandria. I watched her energy update, and she mentioned that right now, and I'll get into what the planets are doing, but the planets are in such harsh and intense aspects that it is virtually impossible to not feel something. But some of us are feeling electrified by this energy, and some of us are feeling electrocuted by this energy. Me being vulnerable right now, I feel completely electrocuted. And I think a lot of people who identify as empaths or as highly sensitive people who pick up on energies easily, sometimes overwhelmingly, I think they would also agree that they feel a bit electrocuted. But the people who are maybe more forward, fiery energies, maybe they like this intensity. Maybe it is giving them this notion of what I can get done and how I can utilize this energy and this power to my benefit. And that's incredible. And I think on both sides of the spectrum, honor what it is that's going up, but also err on the side of caution. If you are feeling electrified right now, don't push too hard, because there also isn't a lot of, this is a very transitional period. This is very structures being broken down. A lot of lack in clarity right now is happening. So I don't know if now is the time to build an empire, but, channel that energy and planning out your empire. Today I pulled the patience and planning and the waiting game cards. So it's very much like if you are in a forward movement energy, a chariot card energy, if we're talking about tarot, then I would advise to keep it more on pen to paper, notepad, filling out the list, checking it twice than I would really putting nails in wood. And for those of you who are feeling electrocuted, it's very important to make sure that you are honoring what healing and what relaxation and what sitting and disconnecting looks like for you. But I also don't want you to drown in that. I also don't want you, because I think sometimes with us empaths, when we are being called to take care of ourselves or we're being called to step away, that can sometimes call us to fall into habits that maybe we've hoped to outgrow, right? Maybe some of us are much more homebodies and more hermits, and we get into a space where we don't want to be social, or we turn to things that can bring us immediate pleasure, like eating or drinking or, recreational drugs. And, while everything is an individual experience, and, that is something that you need to take up with yourself in terms of what boundaries you want to have with it, or, what that looks like for you, it's important to not regress because of perhaps the shadowy energy that's going on right now. We also just had daylight savings time, so nighttime is a bit longer, and that can trigger a lot of seasonal depression for people. So it's important to know what that middle ground is between not overexerting what it is that you don't have, but also not just going into a burrow and losing yourself. Should I bring this up now? Yes. I pulled 3 cards. So I pulled the waiting game, which I think is very indicative of the fact that there's not going to be immediate clarity. Now, this is supported by not only Mercury stationing direct, which is the most intense point of that cycle, but it's squaring Saturn, and our moon, which is in Gemini right now, is squaring Neptune, which Neptune is a sign of dreams. I mean, a sign. It's the planet that rules, dreams and the mystical and the ethers. And so it's a very dream-like, there's not a lot of clarity. It can oftentimes represent illusion. And so when it's in such a harsh aspect with the Gemini moon, which is already not the most firm sign, I would say, not the most concrete or sharpened sign, in terms of clarity, I would speak. And with that being in such an incredible opposition with like Mercury stationing direct, sorry, the way I'm communicating in itself is convoluted, which is exactly what I'm trying to say. Clarity is not going to be at our disposal right now. And how we're going to see this playing out with the election is that I don't think we're going to know immediately what the results are. I think that's also somewhat common sense, but not even just not knowing what the results are, but also there's no on and off switch. There's no, now that this is the result, things are going to change immediately, or, the work is done. Now today's the day that, what I'm saying? There's going to be some wiggle room. There's going to be some waiting game that we have to go through. And there also has to be some patience and planning. I'm very hopeful for the outcome of this election, and obviously what that translates to in your personal life, right? As above, so below. But it's also a matter of knowing that there's still going to be some work. Even if we receive good news, yes, we should give ourselves the time to celebrate this good news, but knowing that it's not an immediate relief, that we're going to have to, continue to do some work. So, the waiting game, patience, and planning. And the third card that I pulled was Discontent and Boredom. So whenever I pull this card, I'm always really drawn to the imagery of it, and I really want to emphasize just what this card looks like. It's somebody who is ignoring this beautiful rainbow cascading in, who's ignoring this kingdom that stands before him with a blue sky and with, really healthy greenery. Because I guess, and obviously this can manifest in different ways for everybody, but I think this is to serve as a collective reading, right? Because I think this also represents something personally for me, but in a collective sense, it's choosing not to look at all of the beautiful that is going on right now. I think it's very easy for us to get overstimulated and over-triggered with what we should be worrying about right now, but I think choosing to see the rainbow and choosing to see the blue sky instead of being overwhelmed with what seems a bit more stormy is really important for us. So those are the cards that I pulled. And once again, I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just going to honor the energy because it is what it is. Mercury is stationing direct in the sign of Libra. So the sign of Libra often rules not just justice, which I think is playing a beautiful role in this election that we had today, but also rules relationships. So you may receive some revelations in your relationships. Today may be a day where there's some forward advancement or some clarity or maybe some new interest in how you relate or how you want to move forward in a romantic relationship or even a platonic relationship. So just keep that in mind. That's a lower, it's a less intense aspect that's happening right now. Like I said, with the moon squaring Neptune, there's just a lot of convoluted energy, a lot of intense energy. And then just, aside from the election, spikes in the pandemic, an ascension period that we're going through after this full moon, Mercury going direct, which is once again the most intense point of the cycle, I can't emphasize enough that it is okay to not be okay right now. It is okay to feel overwhelmed, to feel electrocuted or electrified, but not know where to put that energy. It is just okay. And I really encourage you to honor what you're feeling and pour into yourself and whatever that looks like. Healing looks different for each of us individually because we are individuals. So if right now you're just being called to go offline, that doesn't make you a bad social justice warrior. That doesn't mean that you're, giving up on the collective and all the work that you've done. It just means that you need to pour into yourself a bit. I, for one, I'm gonna lay in bed and watch Charlie Brown. And that's my vibe today, and I'm honoring that. So definitely honor what that is for you. And what else? Yes, I also want to say, I'm talking so much about the election, but I think it's important that I do. This is the same astrological weather, and the specific aspect is the moon squaring Saturn and Mercury retrograding, stationing direct in the sign of Libra. This is the same astrological weather that we had when George Bush and Al Gore had their election. And obviously, if you remember, or if you don't know, you can look up, but there was some discrepancies, some recounts, a lot of just convolution when it came to how the votes were counted and what role that played. in who was elected president. And so I say that to say that I'm very confident we'll be seeing that same kind of energy in this election tonight. But overall, don't let this election overwhelm you. On a personal level, whatever you're going through right now, it's important, but you don't need to solve it tonight. If you're getting triggered, if you're feeling like you're falling back into old habits, or if you just feel overwhelmed, or if any shadow aspects are coming up, it's just important to know that you don't need to solve it right now. You know what I mean? It's okay. Sometimes healing and sometimes the solution is just honoring, acknowledging what you're feeling, and then proceeding to lay down and eat some ice cream and just not exert too much energy. You know, when we want to, and this is the last thing I'll say before I give up the journaling prompt, but I think we all are striving towards being our higher selves. Even though we have so many different layers of us, our shadow selves, our inner children, our sensual selves, it's important that none of those drive the boat. It's important that while we honor our layers, we don't give our inner child the wheel, the steering wheel. We don't give our shadow selves the steering wheel. And we don't give our sensual selves a steering wheel either, because that could be a very lustful and convoluted energy as well. So it's important that while we honor all our layers, we let our higher selves lead. But I think we oftentimes get overwhelmed with wanting to be our higher selves and getting upset when we act upon desires that are not from our higher selves. So I think it's important to know right now that we are always our higher selves. Our higher selves are always a part of us, and it's not a matter of becoming them. It's a matter of taking off whatever it is that's holding you back from standing in that position of power. So what I mean by that is that you were your higher self when you were a child, and that never died. That never went away. It just maybe got clouded or tainted with egoic thoughts, or just falling into the matrix, or falling into ideologies that don't serve you, or toxic cycles, or whatever that may be. So I say that to say that it's not a matter of becoming, it's not a matter of learning, but it's just a matter of realizing what doesn't serve you and releasing it. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and you're not feeling connected to your higher self right now, just know that he or she is still there. She's always there. He's always there. It's just a matter of taking off the armor that maybe you put on right now, but know that you probably put it on right now because this is a time to be protective of our energy. This is a time to kind of go into a burrowing state. I mean, with so many intense aspects, I don't know how else we would react. So I'm going to give the journaling prompt right now, but I also want to apologize once again if the way that I communicated today's weather and today's messages was messy, because once again, that's just what the weather is. That's just what the astrological weather is supporting, really. There's not a lot of clarity in communication, especially, and everything is a lot. But I just felt like I had to at least say something about what was going on today. And the journaling prompts that I would highly recommend you do and you dive into, it's really just one, and it's, what does healing need to look like for you right now? What does healing need to look like for you right now? And with this, I want you to really just get clear on, just don't think, sometimes when we think, healing, we're automatically like, I need to be meditating more, I need to be, getting in my spiritual game more. But with this question, I just want your soul to lead. And your soul will let you know exactly what healing actually needs to look like for you right now. Maybe healing for you right now looks like eating a happy meal. Maybe it looks like looking for a more intense form of therapy. Maybe it looks like swimming. Maybe it looks like calling a family member that for some reason you don't know why you're feeling called to speak to them, but maybe it's for a grander scheme of things. Just let your soul let you know what healing looks like for it right now, whether that's unplugging or whether that's diving even deeper into community, digital community. Just let yourself know that. And that's it. So thank you so much, guys. Please, please, please honor whatever is coming up right now. Know that you deserve rest, and rest in whatever rest looks like for you. I'm going to go rest right now. As you can see, my batteries were dying along with my phone and my computer's battery. So I'm just going to go and recoup and You're so welcome. Thank you for joining. And I'm going to, send you all of my love and all of my strength. And I hope that you guys are well. And you can watch this on YouTube or follow me on Instagram at Jess and Kylene. And otherwise, have an incredible Tuesday, an incredible election day, and stay safe and sane and grounded. Bye.